Let's ride.
Hi, we now join our host, Mr. Goods, in an earnings television for our broadcast today. Hello, folks. I'm your host, Mr. Goods.
Of investigations into the former president's businesses. Trump, by the way, not personally charged in this case. CBS News legal analyst Ricky Kleeman is here to explain the jury verdict and what it means for Trump and his businesses. Ricky, good morning. Thank you for being here. People look at the fine, $1.6 million. Doesn't sound large in the context of a big company, but how serious are the charges overall?
Now I agree with Rush. I'm too stupid to make up my own mind.
But we do want to begin with those new classified documents. Lawyers for Donald Trump say they discovered material while searching a storage unit in West Palm Beach, Florida. The items were reportedly found among a mix of boxes, gifts, suits, and clothes, including swords and wrestling belts. This is raising questions about what it means for the ongoing special counsel investigation. CBS.
Eventually.
Donald Trump sees the Constitution the way he sees other human beings. He sees it as just an instrument for his use and convenience when it serves his ends. The real danger of what Trump is doing with rhetoric that is so extreme as to be calling for the termination of the Constitution or a redo on the 2020 election is that as he goes to further and further extremes, other individuals out there who are actually extreme start to look moderate.
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
Welcome back to Red and Blue. I'm Scott McFarland. Former President Trump handpicked Herschel Walker to run for that Georgia Senate seat back in 2021. And right away, there were questions about candidate quality. And it took Republican leader Mitch McConnell months to embrace Walker's candidacy. And then there was scandal after scandal after scandal. And now many are blaming the former president for pushing a flawed candidate in such a competitive swing state. Another example of Republican elected officials having to do the delicate dance of pushing back on Mr. Trump while not alienating his supporters.
We don't undo anything. We never are for anything. Then when it comes to how do you change it, Trump was the manifestation of half the country fed up with that back in 2016. We did a lot of things that worked. And if that's going to work going forward, you're going to have to talk about what worked, not what you're mad about.
So I hate overgeneralizing and saying it was all because of this voice on it one way or the other. There's just no way to ever tell because everybody has a different perspective on it.
I don't think this was any referendum on President Trump. I think this is a referendum on us learning the cycle of how to run an election. And we found that in several states. And being a football coach, you lose a game, you learn from it. You win a game, you learn from it. And we as Republicans have to learn about getting people out to vote.
Joining us now, CBS News political correspondent Caitlin Huey Burns. So, Caitlin, you did great work today speaking with so many Republicans. I'm having difficulty getting a sense of who the fall guy is here. Everybody says that there was a defeat, but nobody seems to be ascribing blame to anyone.
Yeah, Scott, that's exactly right. And you're not hearing Donald Trump being called out by name, although he's kind of hovering over all of this. What's interesting being up on the Hill and talking to these lawmakers and also talking to operatives in the states is that you're not hearing really any sugarcoating about what happened to Republicans this midterm year. There's not a lot of people saying, well, look, at least we won the House. They are acknowledging that there are problems within the party, especially with independent voters. That's what I heard over and over from Republicans today on Capitol Hill, saying that the party has a problem with independent voters. But when asked, what is the problem, they couldn't really articulate what that is. We heard a lot of them say, look, we need to have an agenda. We need to have something forward-looking. We need to have something to offer voters instead of just running against someone. But when you ask about how Donald Trump plays into this, you kind of get some mixed results. There is a feeling, kind of broadly speaking, of Republicans wanting to move on from him, but they don't quite know know how to do that without alienating his base of support, which they still need. And they really need to kind of thread this needle between Trump supporters and
this is how legends are born.